Hollywood meltdowns and guerrilla-style filmmaking come together in these motion pictures.
Come find me when you wake up!
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movies that started shooting without a completed script.
And 3, 2, 1.
For this list, we're focusing on feature films that entered principal photography without a final written version or screenplay in place.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Documentary and mockumentary style films like This Is Spinal Tap are excluded for obvious reasons.
Something about this that's so black, it's like, how much more black could this be? And the answer is none.
Number 10, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
Wow.
When the screenwriters of the original Transformers film initially declined to work on the sequel, Michael Bay somehow convinced them to return.
He got so late.
Whoa! Who's your daddy now, huh?
That was his first obstacle. Unfortunately, Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman had little time to complete an outline as the 2007 Writers Guild of America strike began in early November.
Finish that for me.
Building off the duo's basic framework, which was basically a treatment written in 2 weeks, Bay managed to write his own scriptment from that before the writers returned later on.
I'm so excited!
Hey, I'm not taking you with me.
Actor Shia LaBeouf has gone on record to state his frustration with the lack of material to work from.
I work for you now.
Number 9, Edge of Tomorrow. 6 months before Doug Liman began shooting this sci-fi thriller, he scrapped the majority of the original script and hired new writers to work on revisions.
And I watched him die 300 times, and I remember every detail. I remember everything, so I don't need to talk about it.
Brad Pitt had already declined the leading role, and Tom Cruise signed on to star as a man destined to experience death on the daily.
I think we'd better start over, don't you?
What?
As a result, Liman was introduced to fellow director Christopher McQuarrie, who took on the script and injected a little humor based on the Major's odd circumstances.
Really good confidence boost for tomorrow. Thanks, Cage.
With no hard ending in place on day 1 of filming, the script was finalized on the fly. And what an ending it was.
What do you want?
Number 8, Topaz.
Just the word, Topaz.
Alfred Hitchcock was nearing the end of his career in 1969, and one of his final films was based on a Cold War novel by Leon Uris.
I understand that you're here for a Paris newspaper.
Yes, for the opening of the United Nations.
The American novelist was originally selected to adapt his own work for the big screen, but he abandoned the project after numerous disagreements with the famous English director.
What the hell do you think you're here for?
Incidentally, Hitchcock scrambled for a new writer and settled on the co-writer of his classic 1958 film, Vertigo.
That's organization for you.
Faced with a looming shooting schedule, Topaz entered production without a final script, and 3 separate endings were filmed.
It's more than possible. It's true.
Number 7, Alien 3.
Here are the facts.
For almost 2 decades, David Fincher had been directing first-rate films, and while his 1995 thriller Seven wasn't technically his debut,
You lied! You're a f***ing liar! Shut up!
he probably would like to consider it as such after becoming the final scapegoat for the ill-fated 3rd installment of the Alien franchise.
Listen to me, you piece of shit. You screw with me one more time, I'll cut you in half.
Fincher has since distanced himself from Alien 3, a film that began without a script after years of pre-production chaos.
It's a long, sad story.
Cyberpunk author William Gibson once worked on the script, Rennie Harlan gave it a shot as well, and acclaimed director Walter Hill was even hired for that special something.
You want to get me some clothes, or should I just go like this?
Unfortunately for Fincher, he was forced to write his own revisions for a most turbulent directorial debut.
I don't know how to read this stuff.
Number 6, Men in Black 3.
A Class 1 senior agent such as myself would have been made aware of it, wouldn't he have?
Several writers were hired to work on round 3 of Barry Sonnenfeld's trilogy, but after 1 year after pre-production commenced, the film began shooting without a 2nd or 3rd act.
I'm not jumping off of this building!
Why? Well, to take advantage of New York City tax breaks, of course.
Oof. You got some city miles on you.
Some actors and actresses would completely melt down under such a scenario, but the likes of Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, and Josh Brolin helped Sonnenfeld triple the $215 million budget.
You know what? I need a raise.
No script, no problem.
Great day for America, isn't it?
Number 5, Jaws.
We're not only going to have to close the beach, we're going to have to hire somebody to kill the shark.
Originally hired to play a local newspaper editor in this 1970s classic, Carl Gottlieb was later asked by director Steven Spielberg to rewrite the film. Not only did he add some comedy to the story, he even reduced his own acting role within the film, and he did this all while principal photography was already in progress.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Night after night, Gottlieb worked away and collaborated with Spielberg and the actors to find the right dialogue, and the infamous John Milius was brought in to tighten up the script.
We had a shark attack at South Beach this morning, Mayor! Fatal! I've got to batten down the beach!
Gottlieb later wrote a book about his rather unique experience on Jaws, which still manages to make us laugh on dry land and freak out in the water.
Well, you son of a...
Number 4, Gladiator.
Take my hand. I only offer it once.
After a couple of screenwriters entered and subsequently left this historical picture, Russell Crowe and his fellow cast were faced with an evolving script at the time of shooting.
So much for the glory of Rome.
Some versions were simply too blunt, while others lacked depth. And so, William Nicholson was hired to create a spiritual element for Maximus Decimus Meridius.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
You might say that Russell Crowe was a tiny bit irritated with the lack of material, and actually wrote some of his own dialogue that made the final version.
And I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next.
Who would have imagined that such a grand film was such a complete disaster behind the scenes? Well, it all worked out, and Gladiator won 5 Academy Awards.
I was the best because the crowd loved me.
Number 3, Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Back in 1990, Universal Studios acquired the rights to adapt Tony Stark for the big screen and later hired Nick Cassavetes to direct the film. But when everything went sour, Marvel jumped in and tapped Jon Favreau to guide the action.
And 3, 2, 1.
After compiling various scripts, the director changed gears and took on a more realistic approach to the character.
It's not a piece of equipment. I'm in it. It's a suit. It's me!
Shooting ultimately began without a final script, and the actors were intentionally instructed to improvise for a more natural effect.
Iron Man, that's kind of catchy. It's got a nice ring to it. I mean, it's not technically accurate. The suit's a gold titanium alloy.
Favreau pulled it off and landed yet another gig for the sequel.
All those breakthroughs, military funding, honey.
Number 2, Sunset Boulevard.
Don't you know the finest things in the world have been written on an empty stomach?
Now here's a classic case of Hollywood deception based on a classic film about Hollywood deception.
I didn't know you were planning a comeback.
I hate that word. It's a return.
By 1950, Austrian-American director Bill Wilder was already somewhat of a Hollywood legend, and he systematically fooled the movie studios by delaying the completion of his script.
As a matter of fact, I've given up writing altogether.
With a plot revolving around the film industry and an aging, disillusioned actress, Wilder covered up the true nature of his film and cautiously submitted script material piece by piece to Big Brother.
To begin with, I think you should throw out all that psychological mess, exploring a killer's sick mind.
In the end, Sunset Boulevard was immediately applauded as a timeless classic and remains one of the best films of all time.
I can't go on with the scene. I'm too happy.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Yeah, I know. It's constant. The moments, it's like it's always right now, you know?
I was dead is settled.
David was right here, dancing it with somebody else.
Number 1, Lawrence of Arabia.
What is it, Major Lawrence, that attracts you personally to the desert?
It's clean.
Less than 10 years after being blacklisted from Hollywood for being a communist, Michael Wilson was hired to write a film based on the life of T.E. Lawrence.
It is the will of Allah.
Blasphemy.
Despite his undeniable talent, director David Lean was less interested in the historical aspect and more concerned with taking a poignant look at the subject's character.
Well, that's a step in the right direction.
After hiring an interim writer who contributed little to the project, Lean hired Robert Bolt to add more depth to the dialogue.
The truth is, I'm an ordinary man.
By this time, Lawrence of Arabia was already in production, however, and the foundation was in place for one of cinema's most admired pieces of work.
Come on, then!
Do you agree with our list?
I don't qualify for the job.
Do you know of any movies that started shooting without a completed script?
All right, you don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me.
For more fully realized top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
All right.